Hello and welcome to the Coaching Crowd podcast with me, Jo Wheatley, and my friend and co-host Zoe Hawkins.
Hi, everybody. Pleased to be here today to talk to you about what to charge for coaching. This is a question we get asked a lot on our coaching training programs and also in our communities, the Coaching Crowd and the Coaching Crowd Business Lounge. And so we wanted to talk to you today about the different aspects when deciding what to charge for coaching and some of the considerations that you might like to make when you are thinking about your prices, either as a current coach or when you're thinking about training to be a coach and wondering what the future might look like for you. So where do you want to begin this discussion, Jo?
Going to be a little bit provocative and say, well, you can charge what you like. And then lots of people listening to this will be like, oh, is that what I'm going to hear at the end of this? So we'll start there and then we'll explore from there. So what we mean by you can charge what you like is you can. You can charge £50 per session. You could charge £500 per session. You could charge £5,000 per session. But there are different strategies that you might use for pricing, and that's what we're going to talk you through this morning.
Yeah. And I think what's very common when you start out in coaches and you think about time, you're most likely coming from an employed role where you are really exchanging your time for money. You know, you're employed for a role to do certain jobs and you get a salary based on that role. And you often, start your career, don't you, around I know thinking back when I was sort of 14, 15, I was working in a restaurant for, £4.50 an hour. I was worked in a shoe shop at one point for £2.50 an hour. So, a lot of our training, if you like, around charging and earnings is based on time for money. And so when you come out of an employed role, you often think, well, what do I charge for an hour of coaching? And an hour of coaching is 1 hour, but you've also got preparation that you might do beforehand. And you've also got perhaps writing up of notes that you might do after. So you might start to think about an hour of coaching actually being more like 2 hours. And that may be a starting point for your pricing formula based on what you want to earn over a year. So you might think, right, I'd like to earn a salary of £35,000, £50,000, £100,000, whatever you might want to earn. And you might work back thinking, right, so that's this amount of coaching clients, it's this amount of time, and you may reach your pricing based on a time for money model. Would you add anything to that, Jo?
Yes, because you're thinking about that exchange of time and how much time does it take for it. But also, as you're starting out in business, running your own coaching business, you need to think about the costs of your accountancy. You need to think about the point in time at which you might start charging. Obviously, we're based in the UK, where you might start charging VAT, or maybe your local sales tax wherever you are in the world, where that may become relevant. You need to think about like the costs of any learning platforms, website, all those additional on costs that are involved. And then you've got to think, start scratching your head and think, how much is that going to be and how would I divide that up? So the main thing to remember is you are not going to be coaching every hour of what you might define as your working week. Now, part of your desire to be a coach might be you don't want to work full time. You want to work part time and the same amount of money as you were earning in your full time job. But still, you need to think, right, even in those part time hours, I won't be coaching every one of those hours. So, therefore, what does that mean for what I would need to charge?
Yeah. And I would say in those early days, you're looking at least a 50-50 blend around working on the business. So marketing, networking, building your brand, researching, learning, all the other things that come in with running a business and coaching clients. So, you need to think about that in your pricing model as well. So if you are following a time for money pricing model, you work out your costs, you work out what you'd like to earn, you work out your hours, and you work back from that to give yourself an hourly rate. And then you might put together different packages. So for a 6-session package, you might decide that that is £1,000. For a 4-session package, you might decide that that is £800. So it's up to you then to decide how you then productize your coaching, because people like to buy tangible things. They don't like to buy mist, and you need to be able to explain what it is that you're selling. So by packaging coaching together and explaining what the outcomes will be based on the time that they spend with you in coaching, that's one way to be able to decide your pricing. And as Joe said at the start of this conversation, and that can be anything you like, the difference with charging, you just say £50 versus £1,000 per session will come down to your messaging and your brand and how you're positioning yourself in the market. So people will only decide to work with you if they feel that what you're selling is valuable. And that comes down to essentially what you're selling. Now, we're all selling coaching, but I might be selling confidence, or I might be selling the ability to transition to a new career. You have to think about what will your ideal clients pay money for and how much money will they pay, and be able to talk to your client directly about the outcomes that they find valuable.
And that's where niching down, like down and down and down and down, becoming really, really specific, is helpful. And of course, the results, people pay for results. If they hear that somebody else has worked with you and they've had a similar issue to them and they've seen the results that they've got, you might find that the money is not the issue. And so what is really important in amongst all of this is your own money mindset. You know,
Mm.
what decisions are you have you made at different points in time that might inform and impact not only what you charge but how you feel about it, and the feelings that you have about money definitely will inform what you charge. So for example, if starting out you think, oh, I just want to get my first client, you're probably going to set the price quite low without necessarily thinking about how is that going to serve me, and if I start out charging that, what am I telling, you know, the market about me, and what I do. Um, Whereas if you start out more from a mindset of my time is valuable and I am confident that I can support clients to get the results that they want, you might decide to position yourself somewhere else. If you have a like a scarcity mindset, so if you don't think that there are many clients, again, that will probably inform what you charge. Or if you never feel that you have enough money, for example, um, you know, that may also inform it. So I won't go down that rabbit hole, but it's just something to bear in mind often when coaches are starting out. And in fact, it's a good thing to work on when you're doing your coaching training, money mindset. It might not be exactly forefront of your radar as you're thinking about coaching and everything else going on in your life, but from a business perspective, money mindset is really, really important.
Mm. It's
Um,
that transition, isn't it, from being, whether it's employed, or in some other capacity, to then starting to charge for yourself. You're no longer hiding behind, like, I'm doing work for somebody else. You're essentially saying working with me in a one-to-one capacity is worth X amount. And it brings up all your money mindset, um, you know, quirks, demons, obstacles, whatever you want to call them. Um, and I remember going on that journey myself. It's a very normal piece of stepping into your identity and your role as a coach, to own your worth and value in the space that you choose to operate in.
Yeah, it's amazing when somebody chooses to work with you and actually you're the service, you're the product. Um, be, and also it's to remember you are adding huge value. So yeah, let's move away from the charging for like by the hour. It is how lots of people start out. We don't have to start out that way. So you can focus on the value. So let's say, for example, you're coaching a senior manager in a global bank and they are managing huge, huge budgets, amounts of money that it's hard to even comprehend. Um, Money's so fascinating, isn't it? Because that sort of money you never really see, do you? It's literally
Mm.
just numbers on a screen or on a page. But actually, you're coaching them, and the difference that you make supporting them in that role actually adds billions, millions, billions to the bottom line. Maybe even maybe part of that is sustaining them in that role. They want to stay in that role, but there are some challenges, or actually the bank needs them to. Now, if you're charging, you know, from a value perspective and thinking about the proportion of, that you're charging in relation to the value you're adding, then you think it's absolutely incredible value. And it might give you courage to actually charge what you're worth in that context, the time that you're spending together with them. And also, you've got the dynamic of when an individual is paying you versus when an organization is paying you. Not necessarily different, because everybody has different budgets and different priorities and sees value in different ways. But in the context I was just describing there with the bank, the organization is paying, and always get the payment up front is our recommendation. Like, get the money bit out of the way. Most coaches not that comfortable with the money side of things. They want to focus on doing the work, and the same with your client. They want to experience the benefit from the coaching as quickly as possible. So, thinking about it in that context, coaching is incredible value.
Mm. I think the important part is, though, that you do, as a coach, need to handle issues of money. So if you are shying away from it or feeling a squirm when talking about money, then that is your cue to do something about that and work on it. Because if you're sat in front of clients in these inquiries and you're dodging the money conversations, then I think that energy comes across as, well, like, why are they doubting it? Like, I have paid packages of 5 grand for personal coaching, so I don't believe it's entirely true that corporates will pay more. I think there are individuals who will pay, and again, it comes down to what's the value. So what we're really talking about here is transformation pricing. Like, what is the journey that client will go on with you worth to them? And we don't guarantee results in coaching, and there is this fine line between, well, how can you talk about outcomes without guaranteeing results? And you can talk about the shifts that you can help your client to make that can put them in the best possible position. But if you're able to talk confidently and authentically about the journey that your clients go on, and also share through client testimonials the results that other clients have got, it's the other clients that can almost give your prospective clients a guarantee of what will come, because they're able to see, people who've been in a similar place achieve the results that they aspire to achieve. I think the important part when it comes to coaching, if you're wanting to charge, let's say, £6,000 for a 6-session package of coaching, is that you go to the clients, your ideal client niche are people who have that money to spend. So if you are thinking about coaching, because this means something to you. So if I think about my background, my mum grew up as a single parent on low income, and I know she'd have benefited hugely from coaching. So it may be that you feel really passionate about helping single mums on low income to change the direction of their career, right? Great ideal client. But if you're going to charge £6,000 for a package of coaching, you've got a mismatch there. So you would need to focus on a niche and a client who has the ability to pay what you're looking for. It doesn't mean you can't do the other coaching. You might offer pro bono coaching or charity rates or scholarships or bursaries or whatever label you want to put on it, to be able to extend the people that you work with in a different way. But it is pointless trying to go down a route of charging, the more higher prices for your coaching if the people who you're targeting can't afford to pay it. So that is a reality when it comes to this value-based or transformation pricing as well.
Another thing to bear in mind is like where you might have packages where you're doing some coaching online, but some coaching in person. So just bear in mind travel costs and subsistence, accommodation. If you get, if you're going to be overnight, maybe your client actually even wants you to fly out to them somewhere else. That's how valuable the coaching is and how important it is in a timely way. And what I would say about that is charge what feels good. Like, overall, charge what feels good for you for your coaching. So you may start off charging less, because actually you're happy to have the clients, you're going to get testimonials, you're getting the experience, it's helping you to get your accreditation hours. And as you get more experience, your rates may increase to reflect your deeper level of experience and knowledge and understanding to some extent of the value that you have. But always, for me, it's I want to enter a coaching relationship where I feel like this is good, this is good for me. Like I feel good about this because it supports me in the life that I want to live and the value that I believe that I can offer in this role. And I feel good about offering that to you because I believe you're going to get the results and you're happy to pay that amount for this service. That's brilliant. We're entering into it both with gratitude um and with that sort of sense of like equality, and as we say, pay in advance. That's done. We can focus on the coaching. Like I love to coach people and and people feel that from you. And so really always center back to that is what I would say, is like how aligned do I feel about what I'm charging. And that is going to depend on what your values are. So Zoe, where you were talking there about, sometimes people want to do other work or they want to charge lower amounts because they feel really passionate about enabling as many people as possible to have access to coaching or a particular client group. And if you're able to do that, fantastic. Not everybody is able to do that at all, and some people will like find a way to do that as an arm of their coaching business. And in fact, there's also another pricing strategy in terms of what to charge, which is where you let your clients choose how much they're going to pay you. So that's based on what they can afford or the value that they think you're going to bring to them. And I know that there are some coaches that enjoy that relationship and that dynamic, again, because it fits really well with their values and their approach to life.
You can get creative around pricing. I think if you're listening to this and you're thinking, when are you going to tell me like how much I should actually just charge? And I think the point is there isn't an answer to that. You know, it is a decision that you have to reach. And when it comes to being creative, like think about, for example, you could run a membership model where you entice people to pay £30 a month. And when they want a coaching session, perhaps it's like group sessions that you run. And maybe every Monday on the first of each month, you run an open group coaching session. You just allow your members to drop in and receive coaching. Now, you've got plenty of people out there who pay for gym memberships and never go. I've been guilty of that myself, and it might be that it's like a use on demand type service. You get to be creative and decide for yourself. And as Joe said, where you start will not be where you end up, most likely. It might be for some. So when we started coaching, I can remember a charity client that we were coaching for £250 an hour, which was a third sector rate. And we were also charging like larger corporates £625 per session. And our rates today, we've aligned our personal coaching rates with our corporate rates. So we used to charge, I think, Joe, long ago, like £150 for a personal coaching session. And then we were like, why are we charging personal rates less than corporate rates? Like that doesn't make sense because the value and the transformation is the same. So we've aligned those today. And, I constantly review my prices, and think about, does it align with demand as well? So if I'm getting more and more inquiries, then I would need to push my prices up. That's another way to indicate a pricing decision. So there is no hard and fast rule around what you can and can't price as a coach. The key is that you have to be able to talk about the value and the results that are meaningful to the client, to clients that can afford to buy your services. Otherwise, it's meaningless.
And I think where people have chemistry conversations with clients. So firstly, have your prices on your web page or your other social media things, so that actually when somebody comes through with an inquiry about working with you, they already know what your packages are. Now, you may end up agreeing like a bespoke package with them because there isn't something that particularly fits in the way you've articulated programs online. That's fine. You may choose to do that. I often do that with clients. But also, let's say if you're using something like Calendly, like where people are booking in a call, I know lots of coaches will have certain filter questions in there because your time is valuable. And so, whilst you're on a chemistry conversation, you're not delivering coaching, but you need to have the chemistry conversations in order to work out with the potential clients if you're a good match. But you want them to know how much it costs, understand the value. So actually, when they get through to the call, it's more a case of really just checking about that relationship and some of the the finer details about it.
Mm.
What I would say is when people are training to be coaches, we also get this question: can I charge for the coaching hours that I need to do for my coaching qualification? And the answer is yes, you can, if you're insured and you're transparent with your clients that you are in training for your qualification. And what is fantastic is, I mean, many people do it on a pro bono basis for lots of different reasons. But many coaches finish the like contracted number of sessions that they're doing with clients on a pro bono basis as part of the coaching hours. And those clients will then say, can we continue? And if the client, if the coach or the trainee coach has said that I can offer you this for pro bono, if you wanted any, any follow on sessions, that would need to be on a chargeable basis. And so many of them do have their clients, they've experienced it for free and then they are prepared to pay for it.
Mm.
And that tells you so much about the value of the relationship, the value of coaching as the process or the container that is facilitating that exchange. And what a great start to a coaching business. So yeah, there are lots of different strategies in there, and that's why we have our business lounge. So anybody that comes and trains with us as a coach, either on our foundational coaching programs or our CPD programs, receives lifetime access to our business lounge, which contains 40 different curated expert speaker sessions on all of the topics that you need to set up or develop a successful and sustainable coaching business. And that of course includes, I think there's like two different ones on pricing strategies in there, and lots of resources as well as the community to be able to draw on to see, what are other people charging, although that sometimes is a red herring. I think you really need to stay centered on your own research, your own market, and what feels true for you.
Absolutely. So if you've been thinking about training as a coach, then come and check out our quiz at mycoachingcourse.com, and that's going to help you to decide which coaching course is right for you.